normally I can distribute a report that contains the aggregate totals and the granular detail. I will say that the election night reporting site has all of the information that would be contained in that report, and it's readily accessible. There are several reports that are spreadsheet type reports that are noted at the bottom of the lead page on the ENR system, and they contain all of the detail that is reported on that site, including by precinct, by race. So those who are looking to see where ballots were cast, how many votes, can obtain that detail electronically there. What I have in front of me is I have basically the cumulative totals of how ballots were cast, and I'd like to go through those. I have the ballots that were cast on version 1, which were those that occurred before we corrected the ballot. There were 9,591 ballots cast that were the version 1 ballots, and they represent all, all aspects of the election and are incorporated. But the only thing in the version 1 election database are absentee ballots. Right. The entire election itself, exclusive of those, was run on the version 2, which was the corrected ballot. So in poll, early voting, and absentee by mail and the provisional were all in the corrected version 2.
How many were those?
In version 1, it was 9,591. In the version 2, and I'm going to do some math here in a second. In the version 2, we had a total turnout of 51,793. And add that to the 9,551.
Looks like 61,384.
That would be the total turnout. This typical election, the general primary, in the normal presidential year, averages about 25 to 30,000 voters. So we have doubled the turnout in this election that we experienced in previous years. I think considering that this election was rescheduled 3 times, and we lived through COVID-19 and social distancing and an enormous surge in absentee ballots, the turnout is incredible.
I agree.
So to break further, election day in poll, 24,597 people. Early voting was 5,503. So we had essentially 30,000 turnout between early voting and in poll, and 31,000, about 31,500 with absentee. So for the first time in my career here, and probably in anybody's term, we have more absentee by mail votes than we did in person and early voting.
And so what was the absentee number again? I'm sorry.
All right. So I'll go back down here. I'll send you these reports or this information. And if y'all forgive me, I'd like to do it Monday. Mm-hmm. But I will tally these 2 numbers up. So the total turnout in version 2 was 51,793. So with that added to the version 1, the total turnout for this election was 61,384.
Okay.
Okay, and Russell, importantly for us to certify the vote, have all the votes been counted?
Everything has been counted. We actually received ballots up to 5 o'clock today. Many may be aware that the state extended the deadline for what's called a cure process. And in absentee voting, if a voter fails to sign the envelope, that ballot is not accepted and the voter is notified. And since we're not a registrar, I'm not intimately familiar with all the processes, but they notified the voter that they failed to sign the envelope or there was some other issue, and the voter is given an opportunity to correct that. So I think it was a week ago, the state extended the deadline from, I believe, last Friday or this Wednesday to this Friday at 5 o'clock. So while we were in the process of finishing our consolidation and processing provisional ballots, we were still receiving absentee ballots for the election for June the 9th. And so we literally at 5 o'clock received the last set of ballots that were cured by some people coming in person and taking care of it and incorporated it. So this has been an incredible effort. In the absentee ballots that we processed, since we had 31,500 absentee ballots, we started processing those ballots on June the 1st and finished the processing on actually today. And I'll kind of go through statistics. The registrar gave me the totals of what they did. The registrar issued 45,175 absentee ballots. And they received back in 31,029 ballots that they gave us to process. And we processed 256 provisional ballots that went through and that was a combination of the standard provisional ballots, which are people without the proper photo ID, or the people who vote in the wrong voting precinct, or have other challenges to their status on the election. Since we had we had a rough start in some precincts and extended the hours of a number of precincts, any ballot issued to a voter who arrived after 7 p.m. on election day was cast on a provisional ballot. So all of those were factored in, and after all the resolution, the 256 were added. So we have counted all the provisional ballots. We have counted all of the in-poll votes. We have counted the absentee ballots, and we've counted the early voting. There's nothing that's left outstanding, and everything has been balanced back to their sources. So the report I submit to you that is pulled back from ENR represents the consolidation of both of the databases with the turnout.
Okay. All right, based on everything here, is there a motion to certify the election?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any questions?
What's next? What do we have
Okay.
to do next?
We just have to certify the election. Y'all are certainly welcome to sign after we vote. And then that will be transmitted to the state.
Okay. I do have a question before we give
Sure.
the vote. Are there going to be, I know we're going to have candidates who have questions about some type of auditing process, or if they can challenge the results. So will we have clear direction on what they need to do with that?
Well, the two cure processes that follow are recount requests, which are basically afforded to candidates who are within 0.5% of a candidate who is within 0.5% of a winning candidate. And of course, there's an election contest, which is basically where someone challenges the outcome of the election for grounds, malfeasance, misfeasance, something systemic that would be challengeable, and that is a court case, and the recount, of course, is something submitted as a request to the superintendent. And if they're within the parameters, we generally, we generally offer the recount. If it's outside of it, the request can be accepted, but is not automatically granted. So, certainly given that it's taken us 2 weeks to conduct this election and total it, which is a first for us. We know that there's a lot of questions and concern on the part of the candidates. We've received numerous calls from candidates and interested people over time, and we've tried to do our best, given the amount of work we were trying to do. We've tried to answer the questions to the best of their ability. I certainly will welcome next week, calls, something to look at some of the information that we have and spend as much time as possible. And of course, they have the recourses that are afforded under state law. But none of those begin until certification is official. And if we vote to certify this today, then the results that are out on ENR will be converted from unofficial to official. And then we will proceed on Monday with actually assembling the information to go to the state. Chatham County was not the only county with dual databases. There were a number of those across the state. They have all experienced the same processing delays that we have. And it's an incredible feat by a large number of people with little time to actually sit down and plan, but it actually worked exceedingly well. And we now have experience with handling a large number of ballots with a very new voting system. And now we can use the knowledge we've gained to plan for the August 11th runoff, which there will be a statewide runoff on August 11th. And of course, we look forward to November 3rd. And if November 3rd holds true to the standard form of a presidential election, where here we had about a 35% overall turnout, given the number of voters we had. A presidential election usually has about 78 to 80% turnout, which means instead of casting 60,000 ballots, we'll be seeing 160,000 ballots. And if the absentee trend follows this, we may be seeing something on the order of 60 to 100,000 absentee by mail ballots.
Well, that'll be a good topic for our next board meeting. But as of now, I think unless there's any other questions, we should go forward and vote on the issue of certification of the election. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Melinda is muted. Melinda, let's just take a poll, I guess. Melinda, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Debbie?
No.
Okay. And Mary Ann?
Aye.
All right. The vote is 3-1 and certified.
Is Antoine there?
Antoine voted yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, that concludes our meeting, and I appreciate everyone's patience through the meeting process and through this elections process. And thank you again to the staff for putting all of this together through such a difficult situation.
Thank you.
And we have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Have a good Father's Day, everybody out there who's eligible, and a great weekend.